Yeah, there it is.
Oh.
Hello, hello, and welcome to Return to Consciousness live with Nicole and April. We are so happy to be doing another live. As you know, this is always spirit guided, so we get to move into energy work. But yet today we have a special guest, Cody Dent. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Yeah. He is with. He's the CEO of Vibrant Management. Did I get that one right?
Yep, that's right.
Perfect. And he is working with us in doing our retreats and building our brands and all this amazing stuff that we'll allow him to share late in just a second. First of all, we want to thank all you guys for listening each week and the support we get on Facebook, on Podbean, on and all across the internationally. We chat. So much has happened and conspired or aspired. Today we kind of switched gears. We were going to talk about thought processes and kind of had an idea of where we wanted to go. But today we really want to, since Cody agreed to be our guest, which we're very grateful for, we kind of wanted to move in and go with his wife. Megan was on last week on our live and kind of have the other side of the energy work as far as couples go, the balance. I believe it was balancing self-love, energy work in your home life. And now we get the other side of like the energy work and the consciousness in like the business world as well, and how it can, when applied, really bring you into a higher perspective of yourself, of your employees, and you go home being a better person just by practicing these little steps. So we'll go ahead and have Cody.
Okay, what do you want me to start with? You want me to tell me the story about Megan, or?
Let's hear about you first a little bit.
Okay, so I'm the CFO and VP of Vibrant Management. We are a management company that specializes in hospitality, and so the unique connection there with Nicole is that she's going to be hosting that retreat at the Cliff Rose, one of our properties, in August 24th. And so I grew up in Wyoming, moved here in high school, and I kind of always rebelled against Utah and like didn't love it and thought like, oh, Wyoming is cooler, which it isn't, but I thought that at the time. So as soon as I graduated high school, I moved to Hawaii because of course Utah wasn't cool, and did that. And it was a great experience. Came back, started working, got into the corporate world, got promoted, went to Phoenix with Megan, and we started a life there. And then when we were ready to have kids, we wanted to come back to raise our family here. Came back, had our daughter, and then after being back for like a year, I was ready to leave again. And so we went to Houston, and that was a great experience. I really loved it. And then my wife got pregnant with our second child, and I was like, okay, I guess it's time to go back home. And so kind of reluctantly came back. And then my friend Breck asked me to do some help for him with ZionNationalPark.com. And so I started doing that and was like, man, started getting into tourism and realized how much I actually loved Utah and how incredible it is. And so then it turned into what it is now. And him and I are partners at Vibrant Management. And I absolutely love being in tourism. It's incredible. And I love Utah now. And I can say that. It's excellent.
So the most amazing thing is while working with Cody and his team is I came to the understanding of community and how important the spiritual or consciousness or whatever you want or how you want to look at it, how important it really is independently. Obviously, you have to start with self-love to even expand your awareness, but then it can move into the family and the home, but then the community. And it's interesting because for me, I'm from Utah County. Then obviously I had I crossed over and had some different life experiences there. But when I kept getting called back to St. George, and it's like the energy, the family, and the community.
Yeah.
And several of our shows we've talked about the energy here in St. George itself. So like as we're talking, I have this whole new array of
Sure.
stuff we get to talk about because it is in Zion. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then the Cliff Rose, when I first witnessed it or when I first got to experience it was before I even met you. And I was up in Zion and I was pulled in front of it, just like, oh wow, there is something pulling me to this space. And then as you and I started working together, and this was only maybe 12 days ago.
Yeah, it's not been a long time.
I realized it was the same place.
Yeah.
So intuition wise, like April and I have shared, look at that of just going in and following your intuition and where it guides you.
Absolutely.
And so another building thing that we do here is building the community unit. And so like this community, this collective consciousness here, and really bringing people to St. George. And while you're just talking, I'm like, wow, maybe this show's bigger than we thought today. And so when we're talking energetics, I know that Megan came to see me first with a real hesitation, not because of your relationship yet, because of the energy alone. She didn't quite understand what that looked like. Yeah,
so she went first and met Janelle, and that was cool, and I went to that, and I thought it was really cool, and I loved it. And then I just kind of got into a funk, and so then I didn't think anything was cool. And Megan was like in this place of self-discovery, and she was really growing, and she'd grown so much in the last couple of years, and so I was absolutely unequivocally in a funk. And she went and met Nicole and loved it, and then started going to like the meetings you used to have on Wednesdays, and was so stoked about it. And I kind of struggled with it because she would come home back, can you believe this, that, and the other thing? I was like, yeah, I can, because I told you that like a decade ago, and you didn't think it was cool. And I know now that she just wasn't ready for me to share that with her back when I did. But so then I was kind of upset because I was like, why does it matter if Nicole tells you this or whoever told her that? But when I did, it didn't matter. And so we struggled there for a bit, because the way that I explain it is because we met each other really young, and I was always interested in self-development and learning and stuff like that. And that just wasn't her thing back then. And so I feel like I was always kind of like shepherding her along, and we were together and we were always a team, but I was kind of her guidepost. And then she started, and like if we'd argue, I would win the arguments, you could say, right? That doesn't seem right, but that's the word I'll use. And then now she's starting having these points and arguments, and I am absolutely wrong. And I'm like frustrated because it's like, what? How do you have this perspective? I feel so lost. And then so that was a whole nother thing on the funk, where now it's like we're really side by side versus me like kind of leading her along. And I know obviously that's a good thing, and we're gonna have a better relationship because of it. But in the moment, it was like, well, what the hell's happening? Oh, oops, sorry.
It's okay.
And so it was really hard for me. And then so I went, and she asked me to go see Nicole. I showed up, and then she wasn't there yet. And I was like, oh, Megan, just forget it. I'm not even gonna go. Like it doesn't. I don't want to do it anyways. And I don't really know why I had the resistance, because I really enjoyed the first experience I had. It must have been because I was just being a victim at the moment, and I just wanted to keep being angry and not wanting to fix it, I'd imagine. But then I did, and I had another great experience, and that kind of helped. Just that started the process of us getting back on track. And now we're way better than we've ever been, because now we really are a team, where we're both able to share and benefit, and we're reading books together, and it's just been incredible. And so I really attest that to her going on this journey, and then me joining her with it. So it's been really awesome.
So in the beginning, though, I remember the resistance in the male and female energy, and this applies to like everybody right now, because not only are women finding the feminine side, like that feminine divine empowerment, because of the way the energy is moving through Earth, but they're also being very vocal about it, and very community. They're growing.
Sure.
One of my inputs would, especially watching you guys and witnessing, is don't leave your man behind.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because it kind of felt that way, right? She was in fact, that you're exactly right. It felt like she was progressing, and I think she probably even said at a time like, "Well, I feel like I'm going to this place, and you're not there," And so I think you're absolutely right, and it did kind of feel like she was just leaving me, and it was really my own fault because I wasn't willing to get on the train with her. So I guess the counterpoint to that for the men is that don't let yourself be left behind, because it's your choice. If you see someone growing and progressing, you can decide to do it with them, or you can decide to stay stagnant and be left behind. But that's on them. That's their choice.
And do you think that tested your manhood a little bit?
Yeah, probably. I don't want to say that now, but yeah, most likely. And it's funny to look back on it now and to see it in the perspective that I have. But there's not good or bad. There's just things. And so it was just a lesson, and I'm glad, I'm thankful for it, because now I think we appreciate it even more and have a better understanding of it.
And when you're in the fire, you can't see through
No.
the flames. And so that's when I encourage the couples to really look at what you're going through right now, because it's not your permanent destination. It's just the experience you're going through right now. And when you can make it through those building blocks of strength and courage and cooperation with each other, you have it. You have everything that anybody in this whole entire world has tried to figure out. They're like, how do we balance this? This is how, within or inside of each of the male and female, understanding that their positions shift all the time. There's not a role that you play that is permanently as it should
Sure.
be, but it is at that time.
Right. And I mean, I love it, because now I'm reading books and she's reading them with me. And so she's highlighting it and I'm highlighting it. And it's cool to go back and share notes. And we're sharing different things from 2 different books we're reading this morning. And that's a bond that we never had before. And so, I mean, our relationship's way better because of it, for sure.
Yeah. So in the when we were speaking with Megan last week, she definitely has made amazing energy shifts, and I don't want to say taking back her power, because I get challenged on that a lot, but guess what? It's taking back your power, because we are energetic beings. We resonate at a frequency, and power doesn't mean like I'm the president or that I'm like have this title of the of power over you. It means you have taken back that energetic design that you are, and to take back your power, your voice, and that's in men and female. And when you do that, then you actually complement each other instead of reject each other. And so that was really amazing to watch her move through those
Sure.
loopholes. How does that energy shifts in all of us obviously are everyone's feeling, and in your world, how is energy showing up for you, April?
It shows up in all different forms.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's throwing up, purging old things, and energy just, and I don't know.
Interesting that we've all had different kind of expressions of purging, and hers was throwing up yesterday because of emotion. So I want to really invite people to look inside yourself, and when you think that you're something's wrong with you, that you're suffering from some kind of illness, revisit what illness looks like. Just because you're not feeling 100% doesn't mean that you're ill. It means that sometimes you're adjusting, purging energies came out throwing up in April, and in this relationship it came up with arguments of words and things like that. That is purging, and it is a good thing. And when you start shifting that awareness, your whole perception changes. So have you ever seen that meme that like one side someone's looking at a 6 and the other side they're looking at a 9 and they're arguing about what's what?
I haven't seen it, but I can relate to it.
Or the dress,
Yeah.
is this blue or is this purple?
That's a good one. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So the collaboration, I think that's the right word, but we'll go with that one, is really working and balancing the male and female, not only in a personal relationship, but also in your work relationships when you're observing other people, when you're just unconditionally loving them, and you're in this space of acceptance, you start to realize that there's such everything is based on that perceptual first look. And so energetically, I invite you all this week. I always jump out with these. They're always just spirit guided. So is really look at how you're responding, how your response system is active. And when you respond, is that in a positive way? Is that in a building yourself up or somebody else's perception, we're really excited because all of this has brought into a really big energy, I want to say cycle. I want to use a more positive word, but that's the only one I can think of the creation of these retreats that we're doing, because we have Jeffrey Olson coming on August 24th to the Cliff Rose, and it's from 9 in the morning to 2. And it's posted on my page, Energy Healing by Design. It's also posted on the Facebook Live. And so that agenda will be on that. But the intention is to really embrace the feminine and the masculine. And when I crossed over, really understood the feminine divine, that light that is within all of us, and to come back and share it. Jeffrey Olson also found his I want to say feminine again, and he was okay with understanding he has this masculine side and this feminine side, because when him and I talked too, it was about balancing these two energies that are so intense right now moving through Earth. And then I work with Cody, and I'm like, you know what? This is what we get to bring at these retreats, and we're not only bringing you independently into self-love, because you have to do that first, but we are sharing through your story, Cody,
Sure,
and Megan's, what it feels like to go through those intense breakup. You're literally shattering a belief system, and I found. And mind you, this is through my perception, my view, and what I have seen in clients, is the male energy is really loving the energy shift, but it's scary for them because everything that they've been taught before, almost everything, is being challenged in some sort.
Yeah.
And so there's a resistance.
Yeah, well, I think right now you're seeing that in all facets of life, right? Like everything is, medicine is being challenged, and I feel like people view that differently than they did in the past. And so I think everyone's just more open to things being different. And so as one person becomes open to it, then that other person in their family is like, well, how can you think that? And so there's just conflict on so many different levels because of people, I feel like, becoming more willing to look at new perspectives. But then there's still that huge segmentation that doesn't want to embrace anything new and just wants it to be what it was in the status quo. And so I think you're seeing it all over.
Right, and maybe how we view masculine and feminine energies too, like giving them a stereotype of what they need to look like.
Sure.
So like jump out of the box and be like, hey, because I know that I've been told that I have a real, like, I thought that I was so feminine and I am so nurturing and I'm so full of unconditional love. And then I had several people tell me I have a really masculine energy. And I was like, what? I was like,
Sure.
And I had to sit with that because I have an idea that I'm like this big burly person and really overbearing. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And I was like resisting my own self.
Sure.
Then I got to sit with it. I'm like, oh my gosh, we all have the masculine and the feminine inside of us. So when we learn to internally balance that with our soulful self and our light, oh my gosh, that is the balance. That's the center. And that is what needs to like repattern in everybody's relationships with themselves, their families, their coworkers, and so on. And you know what? Co-working is really important because you are spending most of your time with your coworkers. Imagine introducing a harmonious concept to them. I mean, take out, you might say, what the heck are you talking about, Nicole? This energy, this all these different phrases you're throwing out. Energy, consciousness, this higher state of understanding what is. Like all this uncontrollable relationships, because there's so many different personalities in one room. What if you, in your workplace, taught return to consciousness that's observing in an unconditional love? That means there's no judgment. No judgment you cannot love anyone while in judgment. It's impossible. Just imagine that your workplace, there's harmony. There's harmony. There we go. I got it. Third time. Imagine that though. You find that balance within the workspace. Less sick days. People want to come to work. Because when people are working, the hardest thing for them to do is come and talk to the boss about them not feeling well.
Yeah.
And then I've learned in other situations is that when somebody when we train in this energy or this work, or we show people how to communicate on an energetic level, that when their employees come in to talk to them, they leave not feeling sick anymore because they just literally needed a purge in their own way, and it was through words, or it was through that. It was really the work too much, and so I really invite people to really look into that, and we're offering stuff like that through Cody's company, which is
Vibrant Management. Well, I can talk about that too. So we try and embrace that a little bit. So like we were reading books as a team, and it's like we read, not The Mastery of Love, but his other book, The Four Agreements. Mm-hmm. So we read that as a team, which is not a typical business book. And there's a gal on our team who teaches yoga, and she was the one who recommended it. So everyone got a turn to recommend a book. And so it was really cool to have that perspective. And like we all loved it. And we read Brené Brown's book, Daring Greatly, which is also about like being vulnerable and open. And so we totally embraced that. And one thing that came out of that was like assume positive intent. Because I think in the workplace too often, you just like you get an email and you read it with like the wrong tone, or you think, oh, this person's sick because they just don't want to be here today, and you take that negative perception. And so I got an email today from somebody, and I started writing him back an email, and I was like, what am I doing? And so I just called him, and it was all fine, But had I written the email that I was going to write, then he would have read it, and he would have probably taken it the same way I did, and it would have been a back and forth, and it would have been positive. And so I just had to assume positive intent and realize that I'm not taking it the way he means it to. And so if I just get on the phone with him, that's all just going to dissipate. So I totally recommend that everyone tries to do that in their office place, because I don't think there's enough trust in the corporate world.
And you're usually reflecting how you're feeling inside when you're reading a text or an email something.
Yeah, your mood.
Yeah. Always in Lost in Translation, just like traveling around the world, that's the one thing that happens is you get lost in translation. And I learned the language of love is the language, because you cannot, there's no room for speculation, because you know why? You're speaking through the heart. And when you don't have words to get in the way, you can literally guide each other into the heart space, and you find out what the other person is needing or seeking by movement and in body language. And that's when I learned that body language is really, and eye contact is like really important.
Yeah. I always catch myself like with my arms crossed because it's just comfortable, and then I'll make a conscious effort to not do it, just so it doesn't look like I'm closed off,
Yeah. It always means you're protecting yourself, like when you fold your arms or you cross them. You know what I like is when you do get into that space, you're able to give it to other people too. So like I know when I've had friends close to me who I know they're having a bad day, I will just visualize that I'm just like filling them up with good stuff, like good love and good energy. And it's amazing because people will do the same to me, and you can actually feel it if you're in tune. And if you come from a space of love, then you're not in a space of judgment, and therefore you're okay with everything that goes on around you. Even like if people don't like you, you're okay with it. Like you're just okay being you, and you know who you are. And so in my opinion, a lot of stuff comes from self-love and from within. And then once we get to that spot, then we could work outside on our relationships with other people and work and stuff like that.
And that goes right back to how you're feeling inside is how you're reflecting it to others. So imagine that you work on yourself so much that when someone says something to you, you're like, oh wow, what either you say, what do I have to work on myself, or you'll have compassion for the other person because you're going to know that they're responding the best that they can at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something too, I think the best that they can, right? People only know what they know. And so that's helped me a lot when something goes a way that maybe I didn't agree with. It's like, well, I can't really fault them for what they believe or how they acted, because they only know what they know. And so if they haven't been exposed to something else, then of course they're going to react in that way. And when you take that perspective, then you're not upset by what's happened, because you realize that they are doing the best that they can. And with the knowledge that they have, that's the response. And their knowledge may not be the same as yours, so they're not going to act the same way that you may have or respond in the same way.
So you might be asking yourself why we do this, and why we show up and talk about all of these different conversations and topics. And I in the beginning I knew that there was some way to create communication on all perceptions, and so we have opened this space to share your ideas, share things that work and maybe things that don't. And I'd love you to do that if you have a solution to it, because I love positivity. And really come together as a community and watch the energetics grow. And I'm Nicole Ashton. You can reach me at energyhealingbydesign.com and follow us on Live with Nicole in April. And we will be right back.
Oh yeah, that's midnight special. That's a midnight special.
I'm Rich Warren, inviting you to tune in to our midnight special, folk music and farce, show tunes and satire, madness and escape. 2 hours weekly ranging from ancient ballads to cutting-edge singer-songwriters, classic Broadway shows, and the latest British comedy, all on the Midnight Special.
The Midnight Special, Saturday evenings from 7 till 9 on Radio St. George 100.3. Tuacahn presents Disney's When You Wish. When You Wish takes you on a magical journey with all of your favorite Disney memories. This show follows a little girl's imagination as she discovers Moana, The Princess and the Frog, Mulan, Beauty and the Beast, Tarzan, Aladdin, Mary Poppins, and many more. Disney's When You Wish. Ticket information at tuacahn.org.
Maggleby's, a fine sponsor of the radio program at Dixie State University. Maggleby's Restaurant, for lunch and dinner, and with catering available too. Made with Maggleby's love, at 1450 Hilton Drive in St. George. Maggleby's, a fine sponsor of Radio Dixie and Radio St. George.
Mom used to scream about Dad's drinking. It drove me crazy till Mom went to Al-Anon. If someone's drinking troubling you, you might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon or Alateen family group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-AL-ANON or go to alanon.org.
Dixie Sun News, your source for all of the latest news, sports, opinion, features, and more on the Dixie State University campus. Grab a paper today or visit dixiesunnews.com. Dixie Sun News, the voice of Dixie.
This is Nicole Ashton from Energy Healing by Design. Join me Wednesdays at 4 o'clock for Return to Consciousness, where I will help you connect to purposeful living, self-love, and oneness. Return to Consciousness Wednesdays at 4 o'clock on Radio St. George 100.3 FM.
Participate in the conversation. 435-879-4100. We are Radio St. George 100.3 FM.
You're listening to Radio St. George 100.3 FM. We now welcome you back to Return to Consciousness with your host, Nicole.
Hello, and welcome back to Return to Consciousness live with Nicole and April. The second half, we're going to do a short meditation and really focus and create the intent that it feels the best for you. But my intent is going to be balancing the masculine and feminine and really bringing in a profound frequency to share with our children. Because as we balance the feminine and the masculine, it's just a beautiful experience for the children. So we have me, Nicole Ashton, and you can follow me at energyhealingbydesign.com, April Betty at handshealingheart.com, and Cody Edent at
thevibrantteam.com.
Okay. I was making sure that it was the .com because sometimes they have it different. Sure. So, and we thank you again for joining in and for the responses. We don't answer them right now because they're not up on the Facebook comments, but we really appreciate them and before and after. And remember, the energy knows no time or distance. So anytime that you are listening to this, it's at your perfect timing. And as always, the second half, we will have the meditation and kind of storytelling. So we're going to go into that really beautiful space. And do you guys have anything else to share before we do the 5-minute meditation?
I do. Okay. I just wanted to share that when we take time to heal ourselves, then we could heal people around us and we could heal our children as well. So when you said children, it just made me think it's so important that we're conscious and aware and that we're not repeating things that aren't working anymore. And so to be open to new ideas and just really work on ourselves so we could be there and show up for our children and other people as well.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we'll set the intention, the balance, the children, the literally, when I meditate, sometimes I'll look at what I can work on, and that would be maybe like expectations that we have on others, and and kind of and get answers. Really play with this energy, because you are connecting to you. This is your information right to your soulful self. So as we invite you to sit back and relax, really move into that blissful state. Go into joy. Lean into that unconditional love that is always in motion. And we invite the white light to move down the top of our head, move through the energy centers of our body. The energy centers are chakras, and they go to each one of our organs, our cells, bones, and bloods. As this is happening, feel that white light. This is your experience. This is you taking that time for self-love. And in your heart space, allow an expansion. So as you take a deep breath in, really feel the room of that heart just expand. And on your out breath, breathe out anything that doesn't serve you. We're inviting this beautiful blue light to also just penetrate out the heart and move down the body and right into Mother Earth. And then imagine that heart space is so full of unconditional love and nurturing. Imagine it swirling in a beautiful, beautiful delight. This beautiful ball of light as it moves up through the earth, through your feet, your calves, your thighs, right into the pelvic bone of your body. Moves up the spine, hitting each one of those chakra centers, those energy centers. And imagine this beautiful pink ray just streaming up from Mother Earth. And remember, your heart beats the same resonance as Mother Earth's heartbeat. The information that you seek, the wisdom, the love that you desire is right there inside of your heart and activated through this wave of light. Imagine you are more than you've been told, because you are. And as this energy moves up through the heart, imagine it cycling and making a full circle and just waves of light in your heart. Let's add some yellow in there from the sun and just bring this brightness to you, creating a magnetic field of balance, consciousness, the divine light that is within you. And as this is just moving through your body in a celebration of life, it'll move up and down your body just like water flowing, bringing you into that blissful state, that joy. We were created in greatness, a spark of light, and in unconditional love. And in just this few minutes, allow yourself to feel you're enough, you always have been, and you're on purpose. Now vision your children feeling that through you. Imagine them joyfully playing in the rain, them joyfully allowing themselves to be who they are and know they're enough. And then feel the joy within inside your own heart that you're providing that for them. You're willing that beautiful energy right through you. And as this white light is just now increasing down your whole entire body, let it move out through every cell, out into your auric field, this energy field that's around you. And feel yourself expand into higher consciousness of love, of unity. Really embrace the moment. And as you move back into your body, imagine maybe some sand or rocks or a tree trunk coming up your legs, through your body, moving out and around your auric field, and just really create the life you love. It is up to you. You got to choose your happiness. And the most amazing thing is now when you realize your self-love and who you are and why you're here, and why you're here is to find love, be love, and share love. That's your purpose. And when you're able to do that, imagine what your kids feel. Imagine what people around you feel. And as you come back into this beautiful time and space, really go in, dig deep inside of yourself and be proud of yourself. And you know what? Some people this might work for. Some might shelf it for later. Some might completely allow it. And then you know what? A year from now, it might show back up, and you're like, "Hey, I get it now." But the point, the most beautiful point or view of it is that if when you listen, you're open and you're allowing. That means you're consciously seeking something amazing, and you're giving yourself permission to think outside the box. So in the beginning was really for me like when I started meditating and started working through stuff, I obviously had no choice to, because I had died and come back, and I got 18 months to be in meditation. So that's what I knew. That's what I know. So to me, what I do is not weird. To most people, it's very weird. I can remember I had this football player come, and he says his mom made him come to see me. He's a quarterback, and he's all looks up at me, and I kept saying, "This is weird." Oh, wow, that's weird. Everything I hit, I would talk to him about why he got anxiety before he would go play. And everything I hit was right from childhood and he said I was weird about 100 times. And finally, at the end, he's just looking at me in a daze, and he's all, "Ma'am, I just want you to know, you're not weird, but what you do is. But it works." I'm like, "Does that mean thank you?" I got it worked. So that was just beautiful. And that was 5 minutes, right? That was maybe 5 minutes just to connect to the white light, which that is that divine creator that created you, whatever you call it, God, creator, source. It loves you unconditionally, and it knows every piece of you, and it still loves you. And as it moves down and you're feeling the unconditional love from Mother Earth, that is you just having that moment, that gap of balance to really bring you into center. So what was your guys' experience?
You can go first, April.
Oh, you beat me. I was going to say you go first.
I knew.
That's so funny.
There's a battle there.
Well, it was very peaceful, and I liked it. And when you went to the blue light, I got really excited. And then I saw like a pink corkscrew coming up a little bit for a while there was still stuff going on in here. And then I was thinking of my older daughter, and I was just like sending that love to her. And I don't know. I had a whole story going on in there, and I enjoyed it.
For me, you? I could feel the energy up in my head at first, and then it went down to my hands. I kind of felt like I fell asleep because I felt like you guys were still talking, and I woke up and was like, "Oh, shoot, I'm in this conversation." So it was relaxing for sure. Feel better. Feel rejuvenated.
We were just going to let you. I knew that. I could tell that you checked out, so I kept on going.
It was like being asleep, and then I heard the voices like you and you're coming awake, and I was like, "Oh shoot, they're done. That thing is over." So I feel good now, though. It was great. Power nap.
Yeah.
And those are just spirit guided. They come down as the energy comes down, and I share it as I see it. However, sometimes we unrecorded ones and ones that are up on the webpage soon are going to be more connection. Because when I'm here, I'm also connected to every one of you out there, and I go through the headaches, the back pains, the stuff that you guys text me about or email me about. I also feel them, and that's why when you are talking, or when we're talking, you say that you heal through these podcasts and radio shows, and you know what? That is an honor when I get that. So when you guys email me things like that, I mean, please do. And we also accept questions and also healing requests. So go to the webpage energyhealingbydesign.com, and there is a request form on there. So, and we love doing that. And when you share your story, or when you call in, or when you ask questions, and I say them on air, a lot of people have similar things that they are going through. And so by answering that for you, it also will answer it for a whole bunch of people that sometimes people don't even know that's what they're trying to ask. They're like, I want to call her. I feel like I want to, but I just don't know what to ask her. And so we encourage you to do that. So I was eavesdropping as I was writing when you guys were talking during the break, but
Yeah.
I really picked up on a story that you shared, and I'm going to have you kind of share a little bit about it. What came from me through your story was it's really important not to judge people and their situations and their emotions and things like that, especially when they're sharing something with you, when they're sharing an emotion or they're sharing a situation that you think they need fixing, that you think they need to be fixed. Because you know what? Sometimes people are just sharing with you for a listening ear and an open heart. They don't want you to fix them, and they don't want the solution because they're really in the process of finding it out themselves. And then I heard twice the fixing, and I'm like, you know what? Also, if you don't allow them that time to air quote, I don't like saying fixing because I don't think anyone's broken, but if you don't allow them that time to mend their hearts, to mend their physical, to mend, then they repeat the same thing, just like if you were to break a bone in your body and not get it fixed, and it would repeat breaking, right?
Right. Yeah. Do you want me to tell the story?
I do. I'm going to have you share that story.
So, luckily, my dad doesn't listen to the radio, so it won't matter, but he knows I tell the story all the time anyways. But when my little sister, when we lived in Wyoming, it was her birthday, and my mom needed more frosting to finish the cake. And so this was back when like kids could go around free and it like wasn't scary. And so my mom sent me to the grocery store, and I grabbed my skateboard on the way out, which was dumb because I didn't even know how to skateboard. Like I went down my driveway a couple times, and it was like a cheap skateboard from a garage sale. And there's this huge hill where I live that would be equivalent to like our Master in St. George. And for some reason I thought I could go down it. So I tried it and I jumped off, and it was like, oh, okay, this is fine. If I go too fast, I'll just jump off. So I started getting really fast, jumped off, and gravity threw me to the ground, and it really hurt. So I walked to my friend's house to get ice for my shoulder, and then I could feel like a tickling on my knee, and realized that I'd cut my knee open really bad too, and it was my shorts like rubbing on like my tendons. So walked to the store, got the frosting, came home, and when I got home, I didn't cry at all, but when I got home, I did. And I must have been like 6th grade at this time when I saw my mom. And so she made a sling for me with like a dish rag. And then my dad got home. He's like, take that off. Like, this is your sister's birthday. You know, like, you don't need to get attention from her. And then I can remember opening gifts in the living room, and we had a little dog, and I went to pick him up, and I was like, oh, and grabbed my shoulder, and he's like, knock it off. It's your sister's birthday. And it was just like, oh, shoot, you know, like, be tough. And so it hurt all summer. And I can remember like hurting it really bad playing football one time, at the carnival one time. Went to the doctor to get my physical in 7th grade to play football. And the doctor felt my collarbone. He goes, oh, yeah, no, it's broken, like badly. And so went and did the x-ray, and sure enough, I broke it a bunch of times. And so I kind of just like laughed at my dad and was like, see, told you. And so the reason I was telling that story is last night, my son was being a little pill, which he can be sometimes. And he had a blanket on his head, and he was walking around, and he bumped into the wall. And so he started crying, and my reaction was like, oh, that's what you get for being naughty, you know? And then Megan, she's reading this book right now, and she's like, look, like that's just how you were, like that's how you were parented, you know? And so that's your reaction because that's what you know. Kind of to my point earlier, you only know what you know. And she was like, but he's still hurting. He just wants your love, you know? And it was awesome because I realized like how she totally pegged me. Like she's 100% right. Like obviously that's not a great response. And Cash is 3. He's not going to understand what I'm saying. Like that's why that happened. And so it was great to be caught in that moment and realize like, man, I got to change that because I know how it made me feel at certain times, and I don't want to repeat that, you know. And I remember as all kids do, like, well, I'm not going to be like my parents, but we just are, you know, because that's what we're conditioned to be like. And so it was cool for her to catch me and to share that with me, and then I was able to give him hugs and kisses, and then his energy was way better, you know. So it was great.
And how important was that for you to accept her saying that? Would you have accepted her saying that a couple months ago?
No, definitely not. It might have even been an argument, you know, or like, don't tell me how to parent or some nonsense like that, you know. But instead, I was just like, man, you're spot on, you know. And it's been really great. And I think that's just part of self-discovery is when you're willing to put in the time to see what you can do to improve yourself and take that time. It's in so many facets of life, you know, and all things will be better because of that.
So I feel like something that I'm going to invite you guys to do is in each situation that you have that seems like there could be a conflict or is a conflict, ask yourself, how did I show up? How did I show up? And then really you can start seeing your own patterns in the way you parent or the way you communicate with a spouse or in any relationship, and really say, how did I show up in that? Take responsibility for your own actions, and realize that the other person is maybe they're doing the same, or maybe they're not. It doesn't really matter, but at least you get to look inside yourself. And man, if you're just 100% know that you did it right, then send them love. Like if you've done a lot of self-work. Because it's really important in everybody's life every day to really work on that consciousness of balance. And everyone asks how things can shift, or how can things get better, or there's just no way of communication and the world's just always going to be this way. And that's not true. It takes a practice of exactly what we've talked about today. We have three different personalities here that have three different ideas of how the world looks. And we come together to share all different facets for you to kind of take what fits and take what doesn't, and jump out of your box and show up for yourself. The biggest thing for the message today is I really want to remind everybody that August 24th from
9 to 2.
9 to 2. We're also going to have yoga. So we're going to do yoga in the morning. Then we're going to have speakers and an energy circle. And we're also going to bring in the food piece so that there'll be a little bit of a green snack or treat, however that we decide to do that. But it's going to be very interactive with the energy, and very giving you an idea of how it can work in cooperation. Because again, we have also the speakers have 3 NDEs, but they also have 3 completely different lifestyles. And so It's so amazing to hear how the world is coming together. And even when April and I went to Haiti, again, completely different personalities. We have the compassionate heart, and we have the same intentions and all that stuff, but completely 2 different personalities going into a different country. And we also learned communication through other people and watching each other, because we didn't really know each other at that time. And so when you think about the energy and how it works, and what is this all about, this consciousness stuff, it is living in complete observation. Like you're no judgment and unconditional love. And how do you do that? You sit back and see how you're responding first, because your response is a reflection for you. And I feel like that's one of the biggest, and through thousands of healings and the couples, I do a lot of couples, is it's really how you're observing each other and reacting. And the hardest thing is to say, I don't understand, or I don't know. And I don't know why that is. I've asked couples, I've said, if you don't understand that, or you don't agree with them, but you don't know why you don't, why don't you say, I don't know? There's just that.
Yeah.
Like, it's like we have to have a reason, or we have to have a reason to not, or a reason to have a mood. And if we can't find that reason, then we blame it on everyone around us.
Sure.
So, we're kind of talking about a lot of different stuff, like we usually do, but we totally trust that everyone that is in need of it. So when it comes through to me, like someone needs some information, then I just go ahead and share it. And so, thank you for having balance and with us. Is there anything else you guys would like to share?
I think saying I don't know is the best answer. And I actually learned that in realtor school, because they had said, if you don't know an answer, don't make up one, don't give one, because you could be sued, or you're responsible. So saying I don't know sometimes is genuinely just the truth. You really don't know, and that's okay. It puts you in a vulnerable space. So sometimes people might want to make something up instead of just being like, I don't know, but I could find out, or we could talk about it, So it's okay not to know everything.
So I'm going to invite whoever right now has a headache or a band around their head. Is it you?
No.
Okay, you.
I think I'm okay.
So we're going to invite whoever is listening right now. It's like there's this band of energy around your head, and it's causing like the top of your head to almost feel pressure. This is the crown chakras off. So you're just going to go ahead and imagine a purple light moving down the top of your head and really balancing that crown chakra, which is purple. You're going to move it and merge it with the light that we brought down that's white. And then the pink right into your heart space. And that will center and balance you. And then some of you might ask, that was weird, or you might state, but I'm telling you, people that follow and listen and kind of understand the work that we do in this time that we serve on the radio, because that's what we're doing right now, is after I share something like that, we do have people email and text. And you know what? There's probably 10, 12 or more, depending on what I share, that have had the back pains, the headaches, and we've been able to share and pinpoint it, and so it helps several people at once. So sometimes those random outbreaks are always really good. But it looks like we are almost ready to wrap up, so we're going to go ahead and have you remind us how we get a hold of you and brief. What do you?
Yeah, for sure. Do I have a little bit of time? I do, right? I want to talk about the Cliff Rose a little bit. So you can get a hold of us on thevibrantteam.com. But I want to do is talk about the Cliff Rose and the retreat. So as Nicole stated, the retreat is on August 24th from 9 to 2. But what's unique about this opportunity is that the Cliff Rose is truly one of the most remarkable properties in the world. And sometimes we take that for granted because Southern Utah is so beautiful anyways, that I don't think we really appreciate what it is that we have. So my business partner and I just went to Singapore and at an international luxury travel show. So there's properties in the Maldives, which is one of the most incredible places in the world, that are $15,000 a night. And even with those kind of properties there, what people loved was what we had because it's so beautiful here in Utah. So make sure you come and book the nights and stay there too.
Okay, we'll have the link on
Eventbrite
Facebook.
and on Eventbrite too.
Thank you for listening, and we will check in next week. Thank you.
You've been listening to Return to Consciousness with your host, Nicole Ashton, creator of Energy Healing by Design, a world-renowned healer and luminary whose life after death experience has allowed her the gift of empowering people around the globe to heal and grow in their true authentic space. For audio and or video of this, go to Facebook or YouTube, Podbean or Spotify, and search Radio St. George or radiostgeorge.com. We invite you back next Wednesday at 4 o'clock for Return to Consciousness with Nicole Ashton on Radio St. George 100.3 FM.
KDXI